Hello everyone and welcome to a new update. The most recent update is that at the night of the 24th of August, which is Independence Day of Ukraine, as well as the 6th anniversary of the Ukraine-Russian war, we see that there is sirens over all of Ukraine, every single oblast or region, and we see that it is actually at a high degree. As you can see, sirens are everywhere. In the morning, there was only in the Luhansk region, but now it's on every single region. Other than that, there's this UK update, where we see that there are reports in the Slavic direction. Russian troops advancing the area of Novaya Dmitrivka, which is Nova Dmitrivka, which is this area here where we have reported fighting earlier. But the fact that the British are also reporting it means that it is 100% sure that they are fighting here. And as I mentioned earlier, that it is one of the last few villages before Borodinka, which means that Russia is closing in on cutting off the supplies of the Donbas region from the north. After which the next target will be Pokrovsk. Other than that, we see in the Artyomovsky direction, which is Bakhmut, the Russian army conducts assault operations in the areas of the settlements Soledar, Bakhmutskoye, and Kodyma, which is Soledar, as we know, and the assault operations are that they are actually advancing, which means that most likely they'll be taking a few more streets during the night or in the early morning, meaning that they are pushing forward. They may also be pushing in this direction to reach the Ukrainian defenders. As well as Bakhmutskoye and Kodyma. I think Bakhmutskoye is Bakhmutske, meaning that it isn't completely captured, but they have taken most of the city and now they're advancing on the last part. And finally Kodyma, which we know from the south, which has been under fighting for a long time, which means that most likely they'll be capturing this soon, as they are assaulting it and they are attacking it from 3 different directions. That means that assaulting it means they're most likely taking the rest of it. After which the next target will be Mykolaiivka or Zaitsever north from the south. So they will either be pushing in this direction to help the storming or fighting in Mykolaiivka, Ruha, and then they will be fighting towards Zaitsever. Either way, they are closing in on Bakhmut itself. Further on in the Avdiivka direction, Russian troops are storming the settlement of Sands and Nevelskoye. So looking down at the Avdiivka region, we see Sands and Nevelskoye. Not really sure where these are. Most likely it seems to be in this direction, maybe Stepnove and Nevelskoye. I'm not sure, but most likely they are fighting in this area and this area, which means they are also in the idea of, or trying to complete the idea of encircling Avdiivka, as I've mentioned earlier. Finally, across the front line, attacks on the Ukrainian positions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces of Ukraine continues the use of cannon, artillery, MLRs, and aviation. So, in general, we see that the front line in the Donbas region is actually under utter complete attack on the whole front line, with special focus on the supply lines. So we will probably be seeing a lot of fighting in this area in the coming time, where the Russians will try to advance along the roads and push upwards toward this road here to cut off Bakhmut. We'll also be seeing attempts at capturing Soledar and pushing towards the north of Bakhmut, cutting off this road. And finally, we'll be seeing a lot of fighting in the area of Pokrovsk, so actually this whole area, as well as Borodinka, cutting off the supplies from the north and the south. You see, the reason why I say this is because here in Pokrovsk, it goes further on to the northwest and the northeast, as we see that this whole area, the only way that supplies come inside this area is through Pokrovsk and Barvinka, as it comes either from the north or from the south. So everything east of Pokrovsk and Barvinka is supplied by these two villages, meaning that once the Russians reach this, and they don't even need to take the whole city or reach the city even, they just need to be within 5-kilometer radius to make sure that they're able to shell the train tracks. The reason they don't destroy the train tracks with rockets is because they have a limited amount of rockets, and using a $100,000 or $50,000 rocket to destroy a rail line is stupid, because it will take the Ukrainians probably a few hours, if not more than 1 hour, to repair the damage that the rocket does. And they will easily find where the issue is. And at this point, they can even send trains to reach the point that is broken and just have them wait there. So it barely disrupts the supply chain to shoot rockets in the area. If it needs to be worth it, they need to find one specific area where everything connects, so somewhere near Pavlograd, and then shoot that constantly. However, if Ukraine just focuses their anti-air defense in this area, it will be difficult and it will just be a waste of time. However, if the shelling is within 5 kilometers, then they can just shoot at it non-stop, as we see in the Avdiivka direction, meaning that they will not be able to pass any trains through, as whenever they fix it, it will just be cut off instantly again. The same was part of Barvinka, which is why I say that Novodimitrovka is very significant, as it is within artillery range of the rail lines. Other than that, we see that the areas around Barvinka, for example, is very heavily, is a very significant defensive line, as we see both forests as well as well-connected urban areas, as we see that there are multiple, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, as well as 10 different villages in one line, filled with forests and well-connected, and there is forest patches around the rail lines. Now at Pokrovsk, we see that there's actually this whole area that they need to go through before reaching Pokrovsk. And especially when the areas around here where that they have to reach, they have to actually pass through these roads, because they'll not be able to reach this area before the ground becomes muddy, especially since now we're at the end of summer. So most likely what we'll see is that they'll try to push upwards towards this main road here, this highway, and then use this as well as the main highway that reaches Donetsk to push towards Pokrovsk. This will allow them to both siege the city itself as well as disrupt the supply lines. And finally, around the Kherson-Mykolaiv front, we see that the fighting is actually ongoing both in this area as well as here, and finally at Pervomaiske. The reason for this is, first of all, here they are making sure that the Ukrainians don't actually cross through this river line, so that they actually have a defensive line here that they can use and make use of to ensure that the Ukrainians don't outflank the Russian offensive. And they're taking this road highway as they are planning for an offensive on Mykolaiv, or at least protecting themselves or cutting off the supplies to Mykolaiv during the fall season, or at least until winter, where the ground becomes solid and they are able to transport with trucks and so on through the whole area. They cannot use these rivers as the rivers don't go far enough. Possibly they could make resupplies to some area around here and then supply it downwards, but I'm not sure which direction this river actually flows. If it flows southwards, then that's easier for them, but if it flows northwards, which most of the rivers in Ukraine does, it makes it difficult for them to transport. Which is actually why Kherson is so significant for the Ukrainians. If the West wanted to transport equipment towards Ukraine, they could transport it through the Dnieper River all the way north and reach Kiev through the river. However, right now the best they can do is reach Odessa and then with the rail reach Kiev or the front line. However, even this is being blocked because the Ukrainians had to use mines in this whole area. Of course, they have areas in which they can pass through. However, Russia has dominance any area that is more than 300 kilometers from the coast, which means that whenever the Ukrainian or American or whatever send supplies, which are legitimate military targets for Russia, they are not able to be defended unless they enter through this line. So this whole area here is under Russian control, Russian naval dominance. So naval support to Ukraine is almost impossible, while for Russia it is easy for them to actually just supply either by sea or by land, mostly by land, as Russia is a rail superpower. You know, their Trans-Siberian Railway and so on, they have created rail projects for 200 years. And they're kind of the #1 top country doing railways, possibly being surpassed by China, but, well, we can forget that, as this isn't relevant now. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Subscribe, and if you have the money and you want to watch more of me, I do some special videos for members only, as well as a members only stream. So if you want to become a member, that would be really appreciated. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Peace.